Okay, so I'm finally back. It's taken me quite a while to make a YouTube video. So with that being said, I wanted to focus on finding your style. And this kind of stems into general photography tips, which also can be applicable for cinematography. So today I'm going to break the video down into 4 key components, which is imitation, mood, editing, and pushing the limits of your shots. So I used to have people try and convince me that I wasn't allowed to copy people's work. I wasn't allowed to have the same style as them. And nobody should listen to that because it's totally okay to do that. And I think when you don't know your style and you don't know what to look for and what defines you, the best place to start is imitation. And I think a big source of inspiration is Pinterest for me. I think that's a massive part of my pre-production process, which is literally going online and finding shots that I can imitate because I'm still learning and you guys are still learning. And I think a great place to look at people that are better than you and people that have a style that you want. There's nothing wrong with that. So, mood. If you're still wondering what your style is, I think some great questions to ask yourself is, are you drawn to portraiture or landscapes or architecture or real estate? Are you drawn to light and bright color grades, or are you drawn to dark, moody, and high contrast? Are you drawn to filmic, cinematic, grainy, or clean? All of these, there's nothing wrong with them, but those are the things that took me time to figure out for myself. And honestly, my style's still changing, but it definitely leans more towards dark, moody, and high contrast. So once you have figured out what mood you want to go for, then you can really start to cater your camera settings to that, and then you will drastically improve the style of your photography. I think finding your style is learning how to break the rules within reason and finding the extremes so that way you can kind of come back to a balance. And this is what I mean by pushing the limits of your photography. So I went through a phase where I would overexpose everything. And then I also went through a phase where I would underexpose everything because I wanted it to be really moody. And you've kind of got to find that middle ground in between of what you can handle in the color grade that will make your photo moody or light and bright, whilst also maintaining enough information in the shots. So for me, even to this day, if I'm going for a moody shoot, I'll still probably have a tendency towards underexposing. Whereas if I'm doing like a commercial job, which is outdoors, which is meant to be like light and bright for their social media feed, then I will overexpose a little bit because I know in the edit I can pull it back to where it needs to be. So editing is probably the most important part of finding your style. You can take an image which looks absolutely awful and turn it into something that looks amazing and moody or light and bright. You can just completely change it. And that is how I learned and found my style, was just by editing and experimenting and seeing how far I could push my color grades. So to this day, when I edit, I will drag the slider. If I'm going for a moody shot, I will drag the slider all the way to the bottom until it's at pure black. And then I will drag it up slowly until it's at a point where I think it's not too dark and I can kind of get away with it, but it still looks moody. If you want light and bright, take your exposure until it's literally white and then pull it back slowly and see where it looks reasonable. And you'll surprise yourself with how far you can actually push your color grades. And then you look at the before and after and you're like, wow, my grading was really flat before. So that's how I color grade. Probably not the most perfect way to do it, but I don't care because it works for me. Repetition is my final recommendation. I got good through practice. That sounds so cliche, but when I got my hands on a camera for the first time, I kid you not, you look at the album and I took photos in my backyard every single day. Not even kidding. And I don't do that now, but I think that's the reason why I am where I am now without tooting my own horn. And with that, before I even had a camera, I would shoot on my phone or iPod Touch and use Visco. If you don't know what that is, VSCO is how you spell it. It's an app. It has a bunch of presets. I still use it on all of my Instagram stories. So yeah, if you don't have a camera, that's totally fine. You've probably got an iPhone by now or an iPad. Take photos, edit them on Visco, see if you can make them moody, see if you can make them bright, experiment with it. Honestly, anyone can do it. It's just up to you. Doing event photography really changed how I approach shooting. It almost instills a way of thinking. Like wherever I go now, I can see compositions and I can capture moments really quick and fast, and I can capture them well. And I never used to be able to do that when I was just doing portrait photography and I had 15 minutes to take one photo. In the real world, you're probably not going to have that kind of time, and you need to get good at shooting efficiently. So starting with social event photography is such a great way to start, because you're sort of thrown into a situation where you don't have people that are standing there posing for you, or if you do have people standing there asking for a photo, you've probably got 10 seconds to do it. And learning your settings, learning what looks good, what aperture, ISO, shutter you need to be at to make that work for you, changed the game for me. So yeah, that's enough of me tooting my own horn for today. I hope you enjoyed my video and you got something out of it. And I'll post another one in 6 months. No, hopefully sooner than that. Okay, bye.